realize that was you right there.
It's
I
recorded.
haven't seen him yet. Okay. They want to live those.
Okay.
Really?
Okay, greeting people, members of the press, and American citizens. This is an exercise in free speech today. I welcome opposition. It's what America's about, that we can peacefully dissent. Thanks to our forefathers 200 some odd years ago. I also want to thank the men and women in uniform, starting with the military, and of course our local law enforcement. And hopefully they will be able to keep today's event, and I'm totally confident they will, to keep it safe. I want to say, before I introduce Terry, no action taken today or on the right of way at the front door of CNN will be taken without law enforcement having prior knowledge to our agenda, even some of the things we plan to say and do. In a short moment after Terry, I'm going to read a press statement from the alleged Mexican leak involving the Benghazi investigation that I've actually met with a family member of a drug cartel that has been smuggling weapons through Fast and Furious to Libya prior to the Benghazi attack. Now, Terry Jones.
Yeah, hi. I am Pastor Terry Jones. I have been speaking out against Islam for a few years. This is a copy of the Quran. The Quran, if you read it, is full of violence. Muhammad himself, his life was a life of violence. Whenever Muhammad died, he gave a decree. He said for his followers to go out and cleanse the Arabian Peninsula of all unbelievers, and that's what they've been doing for the last 1,400 years. I lived 30 years in Europe. I was a few times in Africa, a few times in Egypt. I am number 2 on the Al-Qaeda hit list. And there's a reward of my life for $10 million. Islam is not a religion of peace. It is actually not really a religion. It is actually an ideology, something comparable to Nazism. Because in the Quran it says the Muslims are the best of all peoples. And that is the why, of course, if you think you're superior, that is why you have no problem killing people. You have no problem with oppression. You have no problem doing those things because you are actually superior. So what we are doing, we are wanting to raise an awareness of the dangers of Islam in America. Because as I was in Europe, I saw the rise of Islam. Europe is now lost to Islam. We believe one of the major things to do is to raise an awareness of Islam. The Muslims that are here, they are welcome to be here, but they must obey the Constitution. They cannot have a hidden agenda of trying to institute Sharia or the Quran as our form of government, which is actually their desire and what they want to do. We are definitely against all Islamic immigration into America as of right now. Because as I said, when people talk about Islam and you talk to the average American, they don't understand. They think Islam is like another religion. They think it's like being a Baptist or a Methodist or a Lutheran or a Jehovah's Witness. It's just another religion. No, it's not another religion. Islam is not compatible with Western society. You know why? Because Western society has its foundation in freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of the press. Those are the 3 things that make our country great. Those are the very foundation of our country. Those are the 3 things that Islam is against. Islam is against freedom of speech. You're not allowed to criticize the Quran. You're not allowed to criticize Muhammad. You're not allowed to exercise your right. You're not allowed to tear the Quran. You're not allowed to print what you want to in newspapers. Islam is the greatest oppressor of women in our world. This is awareness that needs to be, and we need to rise up and stand against it. stand against any type of oppression. So that's why we do what we do. I have been doing this since 2009, and that is why in 2011 and at other times we burned the Quran. We burned it as a protest against its violent nature, against the oppression that it has. I have many Coptic friends, and the stories, believe me, the stories are horrible as to what Islam does. Islam is not a religion of peace. It is not comparable to Christianity. When Jesus died upon the cross, he said, forgive them because they know not what they are doing. When Muhammad died, he said, go out and cleanse the peninsula, the Arabian Peninsula, of all countries.
And I do want to let you all know too, and I see that we have some members of the Muslim community, and in interest of free speech, I have a Bible in my hand. If a Muslim would like to desecrate it, go right ahead. After all, in every Arab Muslim-dominated country, churches are burned, Bibles are destroyed. In fact, the very Bible sent to Saudi Arabia during the Gulf War, whether you support it or oppose it, the Saudi Arabian government demanded that they be burned and destroyed. So, my God is more powerful than paper and ink. Now, before we get started, I want to read a statement that was given to me by someone I've known for 9 years. I visited him. This is not me saying this, this is someone else. The American Delusion, aka the Mexican Leak, that you've heard referred to in the Benghazi investigations, would like to make the following statements to the press. You may have to Google some of these names. I have a couple copies I'll hand out of the statement. 1. Charles Chase Merritt did not kill the McStay family. The film, Innocence of Muslims, is not what caused Benghazi. 3. Terry Jones, nor anyone associated with Terry Jones, translated the film. So my question is, who did? And why just a few days before the Benghazi attack? How did they know Clinton was going to blame the film? On February 15, 2012, I gave 3 DVD-ROMs to the United States State Department with proof that we and my son and I are not crazy, as Eric Prince of Blackwater and Richards with the South Wire Planned Parenthood family claim. These 3 DVD-ROMs were handed through the bars of the American Embassy in Mexico City, which is why many refer to myself as the Mexican Leak. Again, this is a statement from that Mexican Leak. The 2 reasons Hillary Clinton blamed the film for Benghazi is because myself, freedom fighter Jim Stack, and Terry Jones, in 2013, we burned an image of her husband, along with Obama, hanging from a rope. And it was streamed live worldwide, seen by tens of thousands. That is permanently podcasted on my podcast on TalkShoe, my freedomfighterradio.net, with many militias having copies of this information, these DVDs. The McStay family was killed to prevent being found like the Hakeem boys were in Cuba. Bill Gore and many others were terrified that the McStay family would get an asylum trial in Mexico, where I promised Bill Gore on 9/11 calls to Special Operations in Bonnie Dominguez's office to show up and advocate for such asylum with a big can of worms. They cut it off at the head by killing the McStay family. They cut it off at the head in Benghazi. Well, go watch the 13 Hours movies and you'll find why that happened. They blamed the YouTube film, Innocence of Muslims, because they were pissed about my podcast, giving a platform to blow a whistle on what the Benghazi committee should tell America in the report. If they do not, I am afraid a revolution will begin in the near future in the United States. One that started with a podcast and ends with the military possibly arresting treasonous politicians. Because Betsy Prince claims that my claims of being an American to be a delusion. I signed this as the American delusion for the world to watch. If you want copies, you can get them of what I just stated. Now, there you go now. Where's that sign? Hand me that sign right there. In July of last year, there was an attack in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Mexican immigrants. The San Bernardino attack. Not Mexican, excuse me, Muslim immigrants. The Boston bombers. Mexican immigrants. Terry, hand me the sign right there. Both of them, Terry. Two laying on the ground. This picture right here that's standing up is an everyday activity in Islamic-dominated countries. It's called honor killings. Because a woman might date someone of a different faith, she's killed. American citizens, we don't kill people in our families or our neighbors because they want to date a Hindu or Buddhist, nor would I support that if one of my family members married a Muslim. That's America. This sums up why we're really here today, that our government cannot come up with the money to feed and house not only homeless American citizens of all faiths, yes, even you Muslims, all people on American streets, but we can bring refugees here by the tens of thousands. Spending more money on refugees than we do the people that put a uniform on to defend our nation. And the right for us to stand here today. Now this sign here. I was reported to the FBI by Iman Dawadi of the Islamic Community Center of Augusta, Georgia, one of the biggest mosques in the state. They found it offensive. They found it offensive. And a spokesman for that mosque, I will go on record, has openly promoted a terrorist organization. His name is Ayman Fatah. His site is Muslim Media Review or Matters. I believe it's Muslim Media Review. In 2008, he made a statement promoting a terrorist organization. That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. Hamas is a terrorist organization. Our president aids and abets the terrorists of America and the Western world. He puts weapons and allows weapons to fall in the hands of the enemy. Meanwhile, he calls Oregon ranchers, the Bundys and the Hammonds, who are being charged with terrorism, who is on record, threaten no one, facing life imprisonment for grass fires on federal land. But yet he has let 5 prisoners go free from Gitmo. All 5 have returned to the battlefield to kill more life. And now he's letting 2 more people go free with Al-Qaeda. The top bomb makers with Al-Qaeda go free. That's unacceptable. Terry, hear or see this? We'll destroy him and see that?
Yeah.
Okay. I hold in my hand people I find. I'm a whole terrorist in our hand. Let's see. The #1 terrorist in America, based on his actions, because a man is defined by not what he says, by what he does. This is the biggest terrorist in America. He has caused more mayhem to America than Osama bin Laden. He has equipped ISIS. Look, they destabilized Libya, they destabilized the Middle East. Both presidents, Bush and now Obama, allowing weapons to fall in the hands of ISIS and Al-Qaeda and this president, I'm going on record here today, I am calling him a traitor. Anyone that will aid and abet the enemy by allowing their commanders to return to the battlefield so they can attack more people in the world is an act of treason. We're going to step on his face as a peaceful sign of defiance in a moment. The other traitor who said is right here. Her name is Loretta Lynch, who wants to call American citizens committing nonviolent acts terrorists. Okay? They want to refer to people like me as terrorists. But what happened in Ferguson? Burning buildings. Black Lives Matter is supported by, run by Muslims. They actually call for the death of these men and women standing all around you in uniform. Don't believe me? Go hear their own words. Black Lives Matter is a hate group. It's an Islamic terrorist group because they are working with the Muslim Brotherhood and they're calling for the death of law enforcement officers and white people. That doesn't make me a racist. They have actually said it in their own words. It's open season on white. Kill cops. And yes, whether you support him or not, Donald Trump, they've called for the death and assassination of Donald Trump. And they're threatening riots and civil unrest should he become nominated or president. That's unacceptable, people. That is a hate group. I'll go on record and say Black Lives Matter is the black version of the KKK, both of which I denounce. Loretta Lynch should place Hillary in handcuffs along with the president. Where you guys get the picture? Oh, here. Okay. Hillary lied. Americans died. Benghazi. Fast and Furious. Gun running. Why do you think Obama doesn't want the 28 pages to be released?
Tell me why.
Because our government was involved in an illegal gun running operation to destabilize and put metal in foreign countries when we should have stayed out of Libya, we should have stayed out of Egypt, and yes, we should have stayed out of Iraq, but once we're there, we shouldn't have left so promptly. Hillary Clinton is a lying, and I won't say it because there's women in the audience, and I try to be a gentleman.
Say it otherwise?
The dictionary name for a female dog.
That's how you feel?
Yes.
I have a question.
I'm not done, sir. Hold on.
You a pastor too?
I'm actually ordained too.
You ordained to what? Racism? What you
Sir,
ordained to?
okay.
Freedom of
No,
speech,
okay.
we all speaking, right?
Oh yeah, I want to finish my statement. You can have a chance.
You thought it wasn't going to be no competition?
I'm trying to give a press statement. I'll let them talk. I'll take questions fairly, but I don't mind being questioned, but I'd like to finish what I'm saying.
What you're saying is straight
Hey, look, don't be like the people who disrupt Donald Trump when he's talking. I'll give you a chance to speak, but let me finish my statement, please.
begging. We was begging a long
Okay, well, anyway. This man here calls for the death. Surah 9:5, kill the infidel, kill the unbeliever, slay them. Okay? This man here was responsible for beheadings, burning people alive. In Islam, a woman's voice is worth half that of a man. Islamic countries, women can't drive. They're tortured and they're beaten simply for being rape victims. So we're going to destroy their images right now. You take one out, destroy one. This is Muhammad. And I destroy it in an act of defiance against Islam. You're next.
Obama.
You want to do Obama? Do Obama.
Islam has been responsible for 350 million murders. Obama is pro-Islam. He cancels prayer meetings at the White House to invite CAIR into the White House. CAIR is nothing more than a suit-and-tie terrorist organization. Obama went to school in Indonesia. On his school registration, his religion was Muslim. On his school registration, his citizenship was Indonesian, not American. His father was a Muslim. His stepfather was a Muslim. His mother's parents were radicals on the left side. Obama is the worst decision America ever made. We know why he was elected. He was elected not because he was qualified. He's the least qualified president we ever had. He never won a major law trial. He never, for a short period of time, held office. He only won because he was black. He did not win because he was qualified. And he has done a terrible job. He has let Islamic radicals into the country, and he has increased the deficit. Obama has caused more deficit than all presidents from George Washington to George W. Bush. He has created more deficit. Voted for him.
Now, it's been said that we're hate mongers, you know, but you know what's really interesting and ironic? Black Lives Matter, calling for the death of people that disagree with running for president. Black Lives Matter saying it's time to bomb nurseries. Yeah.
When did they say that?
Well, it was Tef Poe and I can't remember the name. Just Google Black Lives Matter calls for the bombing of nurseries. Open season on Whitey. Okay.
Well, what does that have to do with ISIS?
Oh no. What it has to do with is people in this crowd that said we're hate. We're a hate. You know, we're haters. I'm not calling. Look. We're asking for deportation. Stop Islamic immigration. I'm not here calling for the death of people. Why have a gun? Because this is not Paris or Garland, Texas, okay? Where you're attacked for people who disagree with you, okay? I'm not calling for the death of Muslims, okay? But yet, I guarantee there'll be people calling for my death and Terry's death because of our actions, and they'll show the true hand by doing so. Okay, Black Lives Matter is on record for open season on Whitey and calling for the death of presidential Trump, nominee, possibly Donald Trump, and threatening civil unrest should he get the nomination of presidency. Okay? They are the hate groups. They are the hate groups by showing their hand. If Islam wants to show it's truly a religion of peace, give women rights. Allow women to drive. Allow women to go to universities. Stop the honor killings in every Islamic country and the honor beatings of women who are simply sexual assault victims. ISIS has already said they're embedding their people into the refugee camps. Rapes are increasing in Europe. The murder rate is increasing in Europe. Okay? So all we're saying is we've got to get a handle on it, people. So Loretta Lynch, who wants to call Americans that disagree with the government terrorists, I say she's a terrorist. If American people would unite against unconstitutional actions, even of both parties, members of both parties, we might turn the country around. Hillary lied, Nancy died. Now,
Pastor, I'd like to start
civilly, but no monopolizing. Let each people go. Well, yeah, we're almost done.
Right, Pastor Terry, can I start a dialogue with you?
What we could do is
we'll take one question too, but we're not going to talk with someone for 5
Sure.
minutes.
Could you take my question?
Too many people.
Right, it's too many people. I'm the only one that wants to ask a question.
Whenever we end the interview, then we will talk to anybody who stays.
This isn't an interview, so you're speaking out, and I'd like to start a dialogue.
We don't want to. There's so many people. She would want a dialogue.
Does anybody else want to ask a question?
Okay,
Am I the only one who wants to ask a question?
Done. We're not done.
What we're going to do now is
I hold in my hand one is the word of God. For God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son, that whoever shall believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. The Quran teaches that Jesus was not the Son of God. The Quran teaches that he was a prophet only. The Quran teaches that the most accursed name in the great day of resurrection will be the one who calls himself the King of Kings. A prophet would not lie. Jesus was the Son of God. In his hand, it's words of the devil. Slavery and chattel. Bondage. So I regard it as a declaration of war against Western civilization. And every century, since Muhammad walked the earth, Islam has amassed mass armies to attack the West. If you do a search on it, you'll see this.
So to clarify, you believe
sir,
that
we're
the
not
Quran,
done. Shut your mouth.
I would like
sir,
I would like clarification. You are saying that the
I'm
Quran
not
is a
here to
violent
have a
text.
debate. I'm here to give
and
a
the
statement.
Bible is not.
I'm here to give a
the Bible
statement.
says anyone
Ignore
arrogant
it.
enough to
Ignore
reject
this
the
idiot.
verdict of the holy man who represents God must be put to death. Such evil shall be purged.
Talked about.
Another text in the Bible that says, I will fill your mountains with death. Your hills, your valleys, and your streams will be filled with people slaughtered by the sword. I will make you desolate forever. Your cities will never be rebuilt. Then you will know that I am God. Both of those texts are from Deuteronomy.
Yeah, they're from the Old Testament. We'll talk about it later.
I would love to start a dialogue with you.
Let me tell you the difference.
I'm not.
They're from the Old Testament. Much of the Old Testament was canceled out or fulfilled in the New Testament. In the Quran, it's just the opposite. In the Quran, you find all of the loving verses in the Old Testament. You find all of the radical verses of what you call the New Testament. And in the Quran, they have a thing called abrogation. The verses that came later, they cancel out the verses that were before. This book right here, as Jim mentioned, in Saudi Arabia, a woman cannot. So what does them do? They cannot get a driver's license. How are they in Saudi Arabia, they promote the killing of homosexuals. In Saudi Arabia, you can marry, or in Islam, you can marry a 8-month-old baby. In Saudi Arabia, you cannot get an education unless you have the permission of a male guardian. This book promotes violence, it promotes racism, it promotes suppression. That is why we destroy it, because it deserves to be destroyed. No one would have any problem with destroying Mein Kampf. I lived 30 years in Germany. I know what the Nazi spirit is like. But the Quran is even worse than that. It is worse than any Mein Kampf. It is worse than any Playboy. It is worse than any other evil book of any nature. Because it promotes it not in the past as he was quoting, but it promotes it right now. Right this very minute. You go. I am been condemned to death by the courts in Egypt. I am number 2 on the Al-Qaeda hit list. That is your religion of peace. That is your religion of suppression. And that is why we are waking up America before it's too late. I lived in Europe 30 years. For Europe, it's too late. In the next 20 to 40 years, Europe will be dominated by Islam. It will be dominated by Islam just simply because of the growth of Islam, the birth rate of Islam. And before that happens here, we have to wake up. What did Abraham Lincoln say? To sin by silence, when we should protest, makes cowards of men. To sin by silence, when we should protest, makes cowards of men. We are free because we stood up. We only remain free because we continue to stand. Thank you very much.
We'll take a couple questions and then
I'd like to have it right here, sir. I don't
we're not going to have you take over for the next 20 minutes.
We can have a private dialogue right here.
No, we're going to have it over here and not at all. Because we're still busy.
Now, well, because he's obviously showing he's a monopolizer, and I think it's only fair to everyone that everyone have an equal voice and not have one guy dominate it for 10 or 20 minutes. So I would take one question.
It wasn't a virgin on her wedding. And evidence of the girl's virginity is not found. They shall bring the girl to the entrance of his father's house.
He said he's number 2 on the Al-Qaeda hit list.
Shall stone her to death.
I believe it possibly may be Dirk Wilder.
The text in the Quran is violent, right? Will you condemn Christianity for the same
Anybody
violence
have
that
a
they put
question?
in their test?
Anyone else have a question?
Exactly are you protesting?
We're protesting in the fact that Islamic immigration and refugees are an invading horde, okay, on American soil, and we are spending more money on refugees than we are on hungry, homeless veterans, 60,000 plus hungry, homeless veterans. It would only take a fraction of the money
That's not true, sir.
that this administration is spending on refugees to take not some, But every single homeless, hungry refugee off the street, whether you agree with what we did or not,
I would love to hear
everyone that calls themselves American should agree that hungry homeless people should come first before any refugee, especially the men and women that put a uniform on for us. They should always come first. And then the civilians that are hungry and homeless. It's about time that we take care of America's needs, even though they may be in a plight. We have a plight in our cities. Yes. Anybody else have a question? All right.
Can I get your name and your spelling?
My name is James Stachowiak, Stachowiak, and I do a podcast. It's called FreedomFighterRadio.net. I'm on Facebook, but I'm banned for 2 more weeks. Oh, by the way, which is really interesting because the wife of a convicted terrorist is on Facebook's administration. I didn't point that out. Radea Kalderi, her husband, Ajin Kalderi, is a British cleric that was arrested on terrorism charges, and as we speak today, is in a UK prison. But his wife is on the Facebook board, and they allow posts, pictures, videos of beheadings and various other things, but you criticize them, it's a different story. And that, you can just go to freedomfighterradio.com and I'll take you to my Facebook page.
Your name and your spelling?
I'm Pastor Terry Jones.
Pastor Terry Jones. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Missouri.
You guys are sick.
I lived 30 years in Europe as a missionary.
Don't you think people who burn human beings alive
I'm the one that
is hateful?
have been doing the Quran events
How
for
would
years.
beheadings, isn't that more
2010
hateful?
Quran burning that went worldwide.
Cutting heads
Nope.
off, that's hateful?
No.
That's not hateful?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's where
I
I'm
get it.
actually originally from. So I live now in Florida.
Human life is not as
So you
important
just
as a
came
book.
up here to
I
do
got
this
it.
with him?
Jim invited me up. He's come to all of my, or most of my
I got it. Human life
protests,
is
so I
second
came
to
just
a
to
book,
support
right?
him.
I got you.
And
I
I've
got
been
you.
doing this since
I just hope you don't get
2009.
raped.
Because I
Because
lived in
that's
Europe, I
threatening
saw
on
the rise of
American
Islam in
soil.
Europe.
They're threatening to rape
and
you
wanted
women.
to start
Okay?
war in America.
The rapes
Europe's been
are
very
already
bad.
happening in Europe by refugees. And they are threatening
Thank you.
to rape American women. Not my words, their words.
But you're grouping a majority because of a small amount of people?
No.
I know a lot of Muslim people that are
And they're all
way
working
less hateful than you guys
Well,
are.
let me ask you, if they're so peaceful, why are they working to overturn our First Amendment and our Second Amendment? Don't tell me they're not.
There are plenty of Americans that are working against
I
it
know.
too.
Yeah, but the whole thing about it is Islam, they want to make the Quran the highest authority in the land. Not my words, that's words of CARE. And by the way, CARE, the Georgia CARE rep, he's a lying sack. You know what? Because he said he contacted me. They asked me not to do this. He never contacted me. I challenged him to produce his phone records, and I'll produce mine, or his email records, and I'll produce mine. He never contacted me, and that's a lie. So I challenged the Georgia CARE rep to produce his phone records and his
you're
email
not.
records,
the radical
and I'll
element.
produce mine. From
Okay, so why are you tearing up and ripping their book though?
No, I denounce the
Because what
KKK.
about all the
In fact,
Christian shooters, but no one came out to rip apart the Bible? That doesn't
you know
seem
what?
fair to me.
I don't see any real oppression here in America. America is supposed to be somewhat of a Christian nation. I lived in Europe for years.
Right, so you hate
I lived in Europe too, 16, and there's no hate towards those groups like there is here. There is now after the ISIS attacks. But
I saw the
you're
growth of
hating
Islam.
on a huge religion
In fact,
because of that small
You
minority.
didn't even listen to what I said.
A Nazi
Okay.
I said we're not against Muslims. I said right there, Muslims
And
are
I
here in
told you not
America
to
right
come.
now.
But you ripped
They're-
apart their book.
down with the
Right.
rhetoric of
I
the
believe it's an evil
KKK
book.
or the Nazis.
Just
So
like
told
I
her,
believe
don't
Mein Kampf
come
is an evil
and
book.
don't show
If I
up.
want to rip it, that's fine. That doesn't mean I hate it.
Well, maybe
It means
the
that I believe the
media
book is
said
evil and wrong.
that it was an unpermitted protest, and many Americans have been
I could rip
arrested
Playboy. I don't
recently
think it's a good book
for
either.
protests in this country, and many Americans don't want to get don't want to get arrested for an unpermitted protest. Okay. If you think it's hate, I would invite you to live for a year in Saudi Arabia and see what happens if you're raped.
You lived for a year in Saudi Arabia?
I lived in South America and I lived all over Europe.
Probably about done.
Let me get my